Welcome to Best Kept Secrets Travel, episode 16. My name's Morgan.
And I'm Will, and on today's episode, we're going to go through a few of our most unique, funny, and interesting stories. So you might want to keep watching this, because we're going to be talking about licking ants' bums.
Best friends, and that's for life. Who stay traveling? I'm talking worldwide, 65 countries between the two. Every moment is so unbelievable. Sharing the best kept secrets about the trips and mistakes they made that they can't forget. So tell me if you're ready for a time to remember as they gear up for the next adventure. Yeah. Woo! Best kept secrets travel.
So the way this episode structure is going to work is we're going to talk through 5 of our weird, interesting stories. Some of them are both of us. Some of them is just one of us. And I think we're going to kick off with Australia.
Yeah, so as mentioned just at the beginning, first few seconds of this episode, Morgan and I have licked ants. Most people would think this is a slightly...
Is that not normal?
Yeah, is that not a normal thing? Do you not go in your garden and lick ants? Well, in Australia, there's a very specific type of ant called the green ant. The green ant, otherwise known as a weaver ant, is an ant that a lot of the Aborigines used to use. And we even got told about they used to grind them up together and then they'd rub them on the gums of a baby whilst they're going through a teething stage. And you're slightly confused that that's a thing. Okay, let's find out. My biggest question, how did they find this out first? Because the ants have that almost feels like some sort of, I don't know, it's like a numbing agent in a way. That's why they used it.
It physically looks like this almost fluorescent
neon
green blob on the back of the ant that's like something's almost stuck to them rather than it being a part of their body. And
they are tiny.
They're ants, yeah.
They're
small
tiny ants.
Yeah. And we were on a waterfall tour up in Cairns, and we were told, we just got off the bus, and this guy walked up to this post, as in our guide, and he said, these weaver ants are here, we can lick them. And everyone's sort of looking around going like...
He was slightly crazy before we even got there, so I was like, oh, okay, this is going to be a really fun trip. And then, out of nowhere, lick these ants. Lick them.
And obviously he's done it multiple times before, so he didn't do it. He was just like, you guys do it. And we're sort of like, to start with...
We were a pretty good group. We might have had 12, 14 people in our group, and then everyone's staring at each other sceptical. Am I going to be the first person to lick an ant? Whilst everyone else laughs at me if it's not true.
Well, so many things go through your head, because it's like, I'm picking up this thing off the floor and then licking it. It's an animal.
Can it bite me?
Can it bite me? It's their bum. Also, I don't want to hurt the animal. Okay, I don't want to hurt the animal. And then also, they do these tours daily, so how many people are licking these ants' bums?
Exactly, it's not very COVID friendly. Luckily, this was back in 2018?
Yeah. And I can't...
How would you describe it, though?
It was almost like a zesty, numbing...
Lime. It tastes like lime.
Yeah.
We all joke saying straight after, it's like, you don't need lime after tequila, you need a small bowl of ants.
Yes, we did.
It's like, have a shot of tequila.
I remember that now.
Imagine licking salt, shot of tequila, and then you just
grabbing a
mouth of ant.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. And slowly but surely, everyone was starting to try and pick up an ant.
Then became like addicted to it. It's like, give me more ants.
I remember I struggled to actually pick up the ant because I didn't know how hard to squeeze. Yeah. Because when the Aboriginals used to do it, they
just killed it.
They just killed it. They crushed them up. They sometimes twisted their head offs and then, killed it. We didn't want to kill it.
No.
I mean, maybe it was just they didn't want to kill it because they keep wanting to use the same ants to lick. It's possible, but...
Yeah, these guys are part of our tour.
Yeah, they get a fee. They get a commission.
We just don't kill them.
Yeah. But it was a weird experience and definitely not something that I was ever expecting to do when going to...
At the same time,
anywhere.
really just don't put it past us now. We always find that we're in different situations when we're in all these countries together. So licking ants' bums was sort of like, doesn't surprise me anymore.
Yeah, true. Although
this was quite early on in our travels together.
It was, and I'm scarred by it still. Not as a bad experience, but I just...
Yeah. So if you're watching this episode or listening to us on podcast, comment below or send us a message saying if you've gone to Australia. This was on Uncle Brian's waterfall tour, which we have bigged up in our Australia episode, which was episode 3.
Correct.
Yeah, it was. An amazing tour, family run. Hopefully they survive, touch wood, COVID. And yeah, I'm intrigued to know if anyone else who's been to Australia, whilst you're there, you licked an ant's bum. I'll be intrigued.
Well,
Are we alone in this?
Yeah, I want to know. Yeah, was it just our group?
Yeah. Had he just discovered it himself, made up the Aboriginal stuff, and it's like, no, this is my own discovery. I lick ants' bums now.
And also, I don't even know, are these ants native to Australia, or do people lick ants' bums in other countries?
Can anyone tell us? Does anyone in the UK just go outside and lick ants knowing there's absolutely no flavour? So,
well, that's probably what a lot of people would say about our food.
Absolutely no flavour.
Yeah. Moving on next to an experience that you went through without me, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Where you can tell the story.
So, I think I was 9 going on 10 years old at this point. And for anyone who's a very keen skier, there's a good chance you've heard of the Vallée Blanche. It's off-piste ski run, which makes sort of no sense to anyone, but it's a well-known off-piste run, effectively. So they don't snowplow it, they don't maintain it. You just get reports of the snow levels like you would anywhere in the world, and it's sort of the bucket list item for a lot of skiers all over the world. People travel all over the world just to have said they've done Vallée Blanche. It's a 20-kilometre off-piste ski run for intermediate if you've got high mountain guides, or advanced. I do recommend you still have a high mountain guide with you, just because unless you really are advanced to a whole different level, or you know the area really, really well, it's just not worth the risk.
Yeah, it's a lot of risk.
And it's 20 kilometres of the most surreal landscape. So you start off coming out of the top of a mountain called Aiguille du Midi, which is like, imagine a giant metal needle on top of a mountain. And if you're watching YouTube, we'll pop one up here. And then you walk out on a ridge, and on your left-hand side is like a 400-metre drop.
I'm sure your fear of heights
your left
would
is
be
about
really
100.
enjoying this.
And you're walking along a ridge which is no wider than maybe 2 foot wide.
Oh, wow.
And the first time I did it, I think I was 9 or 10 years old when I first did this. Which now I look back and it sounds insane.
Yeah.
But, so I skied it the first time, and then you walk along this ridge, and you're going along this big ridge for maybe 10 to 15 minutes walking.
Wow.
Like, I mean, you're not running down it, obviously. And I don't know, it's quite common that someone falls off it to the left. And because it's such a big cliff on the left, it's like 300-400 metres. Normally the weather's not that great, funnily enough, along a cliff edge or the top of a mountain at 3,500, 3,600 metres high. So sometimes there have been cases where bodies have been left there for like 4 days before they could actually rescue them via helicopter.
Oh my goodness.
So anyway, so you go down this slope, and to put this in context for anyone who isn't a skier, it's more like if you have spent your life running, your peak might be, for example, going and running the London Marathon. That to you might be, that is going to be my goal in my running career, is I want to say that I've run the London Marathon. Whether it's for charity or just for yourself, you might want to go and do that. Or if you're a triathlete, you say, at one point in my life, I want to do a half Ironman or a full Ironman. That could be your peak. To some skiers, this is the outright, like this is the dream to go and do. This is the ultimate ski holiday. Because if you get it on a good day, I personally have never skied or snowboarded somewhere where it's that amazing, because it's super wide section, then you end up on the glacier. And this is where the main part of the story comes in, is when I was that first time going down, when I was 9, 10 years old, you come onto the glacier called the Mer de Glace, which is one of the longest.
Sounds dangerous.
Well, mer de glace is French for the sea of ice. So it's one.
Still sounds
So it's one of the longest glaciers in the world, and you end up skiing down a long section of it, maybe for 6 or 7 kilometers, something ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
And when we're on there, whenever we're doing it, we like to then have our break and we go and have a picnic on the middle of a glacier. It's slightly surreal.
Mm-hmm.
And the first time we did it, our mountain guy was like, "Oh, I brought some equipment with us." I was like, "Okay." And you're skiing the whole time. We ski the whole thing wearing harnesses.
Yeah.
Which is very different. Harnesses and ice picks in the back of your backpack. And he just said, "Oh, right, do you guys want to go in a crevasse?" And my brother and I, I was like 9 years old. He was maybe 11. Might have been younger than that.
Wait, how old were you?
I think I was 9 and Ed was 10 or 11 years old.
Okay.
We just like look at each other, and Ed was like, "I'm leaving you in," and I was a little bit younger, thinking, "Yeah, okay, I'll do it." Yeah. And then he's like, "Oh yeah, by the way, you don't actually need to use an ice screw for a lot of things." And he showed you this is one of the like safety things you're taught as a high mountain guy. So he got his skis, stabbed them in an X formation in the snow, and used that as his anchor for us.
Oh wow.
Which, when you're a kid, you're looking at him thinking, do I trust him? And then he lowered us down at the same time into a crevasse, maybe 4 meters deep, 5 meters, onto what's called an ice bridge, which is where if you've got a big crevasse, if anyone doesn't know, it's imagine just like a long but thin hole, crack throughout the glacier, and an ice bridge is a bit which connects the two sides of the crevasse.
Okay.
So you don't know if it's stable or not.
That makes sense.
Ours wasn't that stable because it dropped about half a foot whilst we stood on it at one point, which was a combination of the ice bridge / the skis giving way.
Nice.
So the skis slightly give way, but it's
at all.
still attached to the ski guide. So you're just hoping that he's then himself strong enough to hold you up.
Both of you at the same time.
Yeah, we were quite young at the time.
Makes all the difference.
So that was one of the most surreal things, was being that young, going skiing. One of the biggest things that, and I mean, since then I might have done it 12, 13 more times.
What, ice bridges or the
doing the Vallée Blanche. And sometimes you just go for it and you try and do as much of the top to bottom in one go as you can, which by the end of the day is very tiring.
How long does it take you to go top to bottom?
I think if you start right at the beginning of the day and you just have the mentality, I want to just go for this and cruise this, I think at a push you could probably do it 3 times in a day. And that would be a push. But there's a certain time of the year, and this is now my like new bucket list goal, is on a full moon.
4 times
on a full moon, you're meant to be able to ski it with just a head torch and using the light of the moon.
Oh wow.
That's up there my bucket list, but that is getting full moon and perfect weather all in one, because you basically wait at the top as it just keeps getting colder and colder, and you're like, yeah, let's get ski now, I'm freezing.
Yeah.
That's bucket list level. But for anyone who
that's high levels skiing.
That's them really committing to going and doing something a bit more great. Oh, it'd be so much fun though.
What death?
But for anyone who doesn't really ski or snowboard or would love to, set that goal.
Goal setting in general life is a very good thing.
Yeah, but whether it's, not necessarily Vallée Blanche, say, if you've never skied before and you really want to ski.
Or skiing in the Alps for lots of people who don't live in Europe.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah, it's huge.
It's massive.
But with skiing, I think a lot of people associate skiing as just being rich people's sport. Really expensive. If you go to some of the events out there, or if you look for some of the deals, I know of people who have gone out skiing, including ski pass and just cheaper accommodation for £300 for the week.
You can ski
£350 for the week.
Reasonably cheap in Serbia, which I actually talk about in a quick travel guide that's...
Oh yeah, you can see anywhere. You've got the Alps. Turkey's meant to be amazing skiing.
Yeah.
I really want to go to Turkey to ski.
Yeah, that would be cool. Skiing on Antarctica. That maybe wouldn't be cheap.
Maybe not, unless we're sponsored.
Imodium, come at us.
So, Morgan, your one. We've got the Devil Museum.
So this was in Lithuania with Zoe, and we decided that we wanted to take a day trip out of Vilnius, which is the capital, and we went to Kaunas.
Mana vardas yra will.
Perfect.
Which means my name as well.
I know.
That's all I've got.
I assume that's from your Lithuanian flatmate.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And we wanted to go to Kaunas, which was the capital city of culture in Europe.
Okay.
Which always,
how cultural did it feel?
I mean, Hull won that once.
Yep. Moving on.
Okay. Yeah. Moving on. So in Kaunas we went to a devil museum, and this is the largest, pretty much only devil museum in the world. It's very unique.
I'm not surprised.
Essentially, it's this guy called Antanas. Have you seen the name?
No. I want to watch you suffer.
Antanas Zmudzizinanazvicius.
Antanas Zmudzizinavicius. We'll go with that.
Yeah, so in 1966, Antanas basically collected a load of devil sculptures and had over 260. By 1966, when Antanas died, he had around 260 devil sculptures, and people started coming to see him just to see all these sculptures.
Really?
And the collection kept growing, and people would just start bringing him devil gifts from around where they were from, because they were like, I want to be part of
the collection.
And just almost by accident, this became a thing where everyone from all around the world would come over and bring devil gifts.
So neither of us are religious, but did it feel weirdly sinful?
It felt
like a
really
bit 666, isn't it?
And the other thing was, when we were there, now there's about 3,000 to 4,000 items across 3 floors.
Oh, it's grown.
A tiny bit.
Okay. Yep.
Really, really big. And this kind of creepy thing was we were pretty much the only ones there in this museum.
Oh, it was dead.
A lot was dead. We were pretty much the only ones there.
Did you bring something for the collection?
I tried to leave Zoe there, but unfortunately couldn't get rid of her.
That's not very nice to Zoe.
Sorry, Zoe.
We're going to send this to Zoe. Yeah, you've dug yourself a big hole there.
I don't know how to get out this hole. I brought her back. I saved her and brought her back.
Yeah, I can still see out the hole.
Still not doing well.
So did you enjoy it? Would you recommend it?
If you're in Lithuania...
It's such a bizarre experience, you almost need to do it.
I would 100% recommend it.
Okay, yeah.
And I've got the tourism slogan for Lithuania.
Yeah.
Is the G-spot of Europe. Do you know why?
No.
Because no one knows where to find it, but when they do, they really enjoy it. And this is honestly the Lithuania tourism. It's their genuine
That is
slogan.
their push.
Yeah.
Oh,
it won
dear.
awards.
What?
Unsurprisingly. For being quite a good travel slogan.
I mean, it's quite witty.
Well, if you know what that is.
Could you imagine our travel board in the UK coming out with something like that? What would the UK be if we were to attempt something witty? I don't know. No, there's only negative things.
I was about to say, the
us.
only thing that comes to mind is colonisation, and we can't really...
No, moving on swiftly.
100% recommend Devil Museum if you're in Lithuania, though. One of the interesting things with the Devil Museum was just seeing how the devil is portrayed in a different light through different cultures.
And how was it portrayed?
So,
well, this is a collection all over the world, though, so
yeah.
It's hard to say in cultures, but was it a celebration? Was it an exhibition? Was it actually just against him?
It definitely wasn't against him. It was more of an exhibition.
Okay.
It wasn't... I wouldn't even necessarily say it was celebrating him. It wasn't something weird like that. It was just an exhibition for this man who really...
It wasn't some Satanist temple, you know. You don't have the star on the floor with loads of candles.
Quite a bland, large museum with not empty rooms, big rooms full of all these artifacts. And so from Africa, they were like big sorts of wooden masks with what looks like feathers, but not quite feathers. And
you just thought, oh, there's nothing in the collection from the UK. I'll try and leave Zoe here.
Yeah, that must have been what it was.
That's what went through your head.
Yeah, it must have been. And then there were some items that were sort of like almost like gnomes, but with devilly faces.
Well, like garden gnome style gnome.
Yeah, that kind of thing. It was really creepy. And you'd quite often walk around the corner and then there'd just be one in your face looking at you.
Oh, that's a bit odd. And
it would be slightly scary, but it was very unique. Not quite licking ants' bums, but very unique.
Yeah, I must go. Drop a comment below if you've been to the Devil Museum in Lithuania, the G-spot of Europe.
So now we've stopped talking about G-spots. Can you tell us about elephants playing?
So, once again in this series of our podcast, and whilst I was out in Africa, I was in Zambia at the time. And everyone has this stereotype image that, lions are the king. They're these beasts which sort of, they sort of rule everything. They take on everyone. And that was very quickly turned around when we were in the middle of, it was sort of like a small forest woodland, and it was sort of all a combination. We'd been watching this warthog, and we thought, oh God, this seems like a little bit weird. And then out of nowhere,
you're talking about God now, we've just spoken about the devil.
Exactly. And then, so there was this warthog, and we saw these lions turn up, and we were just like, we might witness our first ever kill. Went terribly. The lions were horrendously camouflaged, made loads of noise while stepping through on twigs, so the warthog ran away. And just a few minutes later...
Could they not chase down the warthog?
Warthogs are fast, Morgan. And also, warthogs have been known to kill lions.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because they've got their little tusks. If a warthog gets defensive and they charge at you, it's like when you see same with goat or antelope, when they lock their head in, it's like a little bulldozer, and they've got these big tusks, so they can be really defensive. And just a few minutes later, we then thought, oh, we'll follow these lions, and then these two bull elephants were just sort of hanging around, and then they just deadpan looked at the lions, and in an instant they must have thought, oh, this is a fun game. And they just chased the lions for amusement. And they were just like running a few circles around and they don't wag their tail like a dog, but they flap their ears out, looking enormous.
Yeah.
And they look like they're just having an absolute whale of a time. And the lions, terrified. Because the thing is, if an elephant gets near you...
Well, if an elephant stands on you...
Yeah, an elephant could crush it. I mean, there are quite a few animals which can kill a lion. Not necessarily in the same fashion, but, like a zebra, if they rear kick a lion in the head, then it kills it basically instantly.
Same with the horse.
Yeah, and zebras just sheer muscle.
Yeah.
And then I think it's one of those bizarre things where you make such an assumption about sort of lions and everything. We grew up in the generation of watching Lion King and Bug's Life and all these things where you start to build this stereotype of the animal kingdom, and then when you see it in real life, you think, no, they are just big cats which get scared quite easily, and an elephant is massive.
They're very small, reasonably agile with very sharp teeth, but then lots of...
What, a lion? No, they're not small. They are enormous.
Compared to elephants.
Oh, compared to an elephant, yeah. But a lion is still...
big.
Large.
Yeah.
Relative to when you look like a leopard, cheetahs are tiny. Because they're so thin, and then leopards are smaller, and then lions are just like a block. But then...
of muscle.
Well, they're quite lazy.
They do really lie around
lazy.
a lot, don't they?
Leopards are pretty lazy. Cheetahs, they're just cats. It's like a household cat, just on a larger scale. They're just lazy. They like to lie and sleep. They don't do much. But it was just this whole concept of seeing the lines almost being picked on, which was really funny to see. But it was that whole, you really aren't expecting it. And I think that's one of the most fun things about whenever you go on, if you ever are fortunate enough to go on to a safari, is seeing everything happen that you didn't think could happen.
Mm.
You know, walking back to your tiny room and it's, 8 p.m. or 9 p.m. and there's just an elephant stood by your door, so you have to go back to the bar and sit down for an hour, and then you come back and the elephants move around the other side so you can sneak in, and then you fall asleep just listening to an elephant destroying everything around you.
That must be weird, because there's not much you can do about that.
No, there's nothing you can
just
do
gotta
absolutely.
You can put a mouse in front of the elephant and hope that it runs away like they do in the cartoons.
Yes, that's what happens, Morgan.
Cartoons are all real.
So we're going on to our last but not least is Morgan's favourite spooning partner. Was when he was on a bus in Cambodia.
Because who doesn't spoon on buses?
So Morgan, why? Why were you on this bus?
I didn't have a...
Okay, start off. Where were you going? And where from?
So I was going from Cambodia into Bangkok.
Yeah.
And it was roughly a 28-hour bus journey.
Okay.
So
pretty long.
Reasonably long. And of course, I was recommended the super deluxe bus from my hostel.
How much was it? Do you remember?
I can't quite remember, but it wasn't expensive at all, because Cambodia is not an expensive country to...
And of course, on the super deluxe bus, you got, massive double bed, ensuite, private
showers,
dining, a waiter. Yeah.
We had caviar come through.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, truffle everything.
Yeah.
It was just wonderful.
And now back from Instagram to reality.
Turn up.
Yep.
We get there. It's not it's just myself. It's not a bus stop. It's a bus stop. It's not a bus station. It's meant to be a bus station.
Yeah.
But lots of these places, bit surprising. It's at night, and this is actually the first time that I've ever travelled alone.
Yeah.
And I'm walking around. I'm showing my ticket to everyone, trying to find the bus. Eventually find the bus, get on. They show me you actually have seats that you have to sit in.
Oh, you do?
You're assigned seats. You don't have a choice. Because otherwise, a lot of this story could be avoided. If you had a choice, yeah.
Yeah, very easily.
So you're assigned seats. It's more like a plane.
Yeah.
In that sense. And I get up. I'm on the top bunk. And it is literally...
When you say seat, do you have a physical seat and then a bed?
No. It's literally a mattress. It's a mattress. Reasonably comfy.
So is it like a corridor and then there's just beds stacked up either side?
Yeah. With not much height above you.
So if you crash, you're just dead?
Yeah, thinking about it, I'm not quite sure where the seat belts were meant to go, if there were any.
So you're on this little bunk?
So I'm on this little bunk.
Were you alone?
Currently alone.
Okay.
I get up, I'm like, oh, this is amazing. This is like a reasonably large single bed. You know what? I say reasonably large. It probably wasn't much thicker than this.
No.
Because if you think about it, it was probably... If you think about it...
For anyone listening, this table's maybe... I think it's 60 centimetres wide.
It's meant to be 2 reasonably small seat width apart. But it's a single mattress. And I'm like, oh, this is amazing. This is going to be so comfy. Getting really excited about the night. I start sort of putting my stuff, spreading it out, lying down.
No.
And then, just as I was taken to my seat,
Victoria's Secret model approaches.
This beautiful Cambodian family come up, and I see lots of commotion outside, and I'm like, okay, I've seen that more than one of them has gone into the same cubby hole does that mean this is for 2 people, not 1? And I was just like, oh no. And I see,
and you're just like, I hope I get the bloke.
I see the mother and the 2 children go, and they go in with her, and then suddenly I see the father, who is a 50-odd-year-old Cambodian man, quite portly, and he starts climbing in, gets in, and he sort of looks at me, and I go, oh, hi. And he's like, oh, hello.
Did he speak English?
He spoke a bit of English, yeah. Weirdly, my impression of myself was worse English than his response, but he says hi, and then we try and start talking because we both realise what's about to happen. So luckily, as I do for all my spooning partners, is you introduce yourself and you try and
Who's Big Spoon?
Break the ice.
Did you spoon, or was it like back to back, head to toe?
I don't know, because I sort of turned away. It was probably a spoon, but I found out that he.
Were you little spoon or were you backpack?
I was 100% little spoon. No, because I didn't want my backpack.
Oh, so he was backpack.
He was, yeah. We spoke for a bit beforehand, and
just broke the ice.
He was telling me about how he was really excited because this was his first time that his kids have ever gone abroad, and he was just over the moon to be able to afford
so it was a big
take
deal.
them. So it was massive for them. And I was telling him what I'd been doing and about my trip, and then the lights turned off and we were getting ready to go to sleep because it's a night bus. This is 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, and obviously, I don't know. What would you do? Would you face him or face away?
I'd face away.
Yeah,
100% face away.
So I was blocked in the corner. So
what do you need? Do you prod him awake when you need the loo?
Yeah. And then sort of like
how much like ceiling height's above your face? If I was lying on my back, what are we saying?
I'd probably say under the table.
Oh, so you've got, 1.5 foot.
Yeah, so enough to be able to
a large coffin for 2.
Climb over.
Oh, you climb over?
I didn't. I might have done, actually. I think I did because we...
Oh, Morgan.
So I turned around, I faced the window, I cuddled up, I put my bag by my feet, interlocking the arms with my feet, even though...
Did you give him a little pet good night?
Of course.
Good night, darling.
Yeah, and I could just feel his hands on my hips and...
But he wrapped his arms around you like a seatbelt.
Yeah, made me feel
safe.
really safe. And yeah, because I didn't want, so he didn't do any of that, just to be clear. But I still didn't want to be touched, even though that wasn't really possible. So I was sort of squeezing like my face and body up against the window, trying to keep away from him.
And he just scooted closer.
Yeah, the whole time.
We need to keep each other warm, Morgan.
And I just put my music in and tried to go to sleep. You couldn't really move because every time you sort of want to roll around, you're reminded what's happening.
Yeah, for 28 hours.
Yeah, for a long, long time. And we actually did have, our bus had a puncture. So
it's a lot longer than 28 hours.
It was a lot longer. Our bus had a puncture and...
Oh no.
And at that point I actually did choose to get out. Run. Just stay in the middle of Cambodia in pitch black darkness.
It was in the middle of the night.
Yeah. Oh yeah, complete middle of the night. They just stopped and they didn't tell anyone anything. They just got off. And you get off and they've started smoking, and then there's one man on his own just trying to change the tyre. Whilst, so once they realised it was a tyre, they then kind of woke everyone up and sort of said, majority of you need to get off whilst we do this.
So you can jack it up and change it.
But
did you get off so you could stretch your legs and everything?
And go to the toilet, yeah. But it was one of the
How many people do you reckon were on the bus?
60, probably.
Oh, quite a lot.
Yeah, it was one of the most strangest experiences because bar everything I've said, but in the Western world, it's not something that you'd ever be... It would be weird to be forced. Not forced, but there's nothing you can do once you're on this. Like, you can't... It was fully booked, so you can either get off or you just have to deal with it.
Was there any food and drink, or was it you had to bring your own?
No, there was no food or drink. It was you sleep.
You brought your own stuff?
Yeah. Oh. It was just imagine all the different scenarios you can have where it can go wrong, this situation.
I'm so intrigued because we start off this episode licking ants' bums and talking about that bizarre experience. I'm wondering if anyone watching or listening today has had an experience as weird or weirder than Morgan's, because you definitely need to write into us or comment on this video below, because we will tell that story. Give us some good detail and we will tell that story in our next unique episode.
Or we'll get you on it.
Yeah, or you could send us a little video clip or anything. Or we get you on. You could send us a video of you talking about it and we'll record it. But
would you do it? How would you feel?
If I was in that situation, I'd probably be travelling with someone anyway.
You don't think you'd solo
Cambodia? Probably not.
Well, it wasn't like I didn't solo travel to Cambodia. It was just I was leaving to Bangkok earlier than the people I was with.
The others. Okay. Yeah, potentially. 28 hours though.
But so many things could go wrong.
I think it'd be different knowing I'm getting on the bus and that's going to happen to getting on the bus and then that just happening and having to put up with it.
Yeah, which was strange, but also I'm a male and I was on my own. But imagine being a solo female.
Yeah.
Couples though, I think it was sold for couples. I think that was the idea of the super deluxe.
Yeah, and that I could understand because that'd actually be all right.
And that would genuinely be comfier than having bits in between you because you'd be able to spread out.
I think that'd be fine. Yeah, but
solo traveling is probably not one. not a best kept secret that we would recommend. I'd also be intrigued to know if anyone else has been on a bus like this or had any other experiences like this where they've been sort of put in very close quarters with a stranger. And we're not talking about Amsterdam or anything you can do in Amsterdam.
Morgan said it, not me. Well, this is the end of our unique, funny, interesting, bizarre, if you think about Morgan getting spooned in the last one, experiences. But if you enjoyed this episode, including licking ants' bums, going skiing, going and celebrating Satan in Lithuania, the G-spot of Europe, then please drop us a subscribe on this video if you're watching us on YouTube. Make sure you ring that notification bell. Give us a cheeky like. Comment below if you've got any stories that you'd like to tell us. Or follow us on Instagram at the
bkstravel. Or Best Kept Secrets Travel on YouTube or all podcast platforms. And if you didn't know, for every 50 downloads we get on podcast platforms, we are planting a tree.
And for every 100 YouTube subscribers we get on this channel, we're also going to plant a tree, and that will be in a national trust site across the UK to try and preserve it for future generations. But if you haven't done already, which I really recommend you do, is go and watch our other episodes of this podcast. You're going to learn how to save money, enjoy your holidays even more, and you're going to understand and learn about the mistakes that we've made so you don't have to.
Next week's episode is going to be a little more normal, but still very good, in that we're going to talk about the 7 wonders of the world.
Ooh. Do you reckon that you could name them off the top of your head before you listen to the episode? I don't know, but you'll find out Wednesday, 6 p.m.
Roll the outro.
Yeah, let's make it happen. I hope that you can handle going on adventures, best kept secret travels. Yeah, all over the globe, having fun, you know the deal. Amazing secret locations, hang out with Morgan and Will. Educate and entertain, haggle in the market, sharing their experiences. Time to get it started. Let's go.